This top cover is pretty grimy. It has a piece of card glued in here, some black paper, presumably to stop undue reflections in the viewfinder, because the viewfinder is just open underneath that. But because that's a paper-based product, I can't just wash this. Otherwise I would just take this to the sink, and with hot water, dishwashing detergent and a toothbrush, I would just scrub this to get it all clean and get some sort of get rid of all these marks that are on there. The marks on this are like mildew or something. I'm not sure what's gone on there. I'm just going to try cleaning this with a bit of naphtha and seeing how much of that filth comes off. It may clean up very well. I may need to clean up the top cover with some silver polish, which is fairly non-abrasive, but it's great when you're trying to clean up chrome. Well, that filth's coming off fairly well. You can see it's coming off there. And what we've got there, I'm not entirely sure. I think the camera has been sitting somewhere out on an open shelf for a long length of time. Perhaps it was sitting up on the mantelpiece. Perhaps it was sitting up on the windowsill in the kitchen. It's almost dirty enough. Well, most of those marks are coming off completely. I'm very pleased to see that. I thought this was going to be an ugly duckling, but it looks like it'll clean up. This little window in the front is the frame counter window. Then we've got the viewfinder window here. That's very good. I thought that most of those marks would have been corrosion pits, but they're not. There may be one or two, but generally speaking, it's pretty good. I would certainly get a better job cleaning this up if I was using hot water and detergent, but this is coming up fairly well. Well, that looks pretty good. I'm quite happy with the way that top cover is cleaned up, so I'll clean the inside of it now and put that to one side. I was just doing this task while I was waiting for something else to finish cleaning. The retard gear train and the self-timer were away in the ultrasonic cleaner. So while I was waiting for them, I thought I'd just get on to something else. So some of the tasks today weren't done in the sequence that the videos would suggest. There's our top cover. I'm pleased with that. That looks great. No problem at all. That's a very good result. What about this piece? The surround for the shutter assembly. This is probably much the same. few spots of adhesive there. They must date back to the time the camera was assembled. And I better do the inside as well. Hint of corrosion on that edge there, not that it'll be visible. That looks very good as well. Nice clean chrome. The dots here, the coloured dots, they're all clean. See the colours well, so that's another good part. Okay, well, I better get back to the shutter. Well, this tab, as I've said earlier, is bent over, and I've got to knock that back into position. So I've just got this sitting up on a bench block, and I'll see if that'll drop back in if I give it a tap with a punch. Yeah, it did. It dropped straight back into position. Now you can see, I expect that there are two little squares there. That's where it was riveted into position. I want to rivet it back a bit firmer than it currently is. Somebody probably tried to unscrew the lens. You don't know what's going on in people's heads. They've seen other people with cameras that are interchangeable lenses, so they thought that, well, perhaps the lens on my camera's interchangeable, and if I twist hard enough, it'll come off. Well, it didn't, but it certainly did some damage in the process. So that piece there I'll need to deal to. So I'll see what I've got in my staking set. And I'll mount that on, get my staking set out, and I'll see if I can rivet those pins over a little bit firmer than they currently are. I'm a bit dubious about it. There's no spare metal to speak of there, but it's worth a go. Otherwise I'll have to, I don't know what I can do there really. A touch of super glue perhaps. I'll see. Well, using my staking set, I was able to rivet those two tiny square posts out further so that they're firmer in there now, and there's no danger that that's going to come loose. That's our infinity stop, so it's absolutely essential that it's there and that it does its job. Otherwise there would be significant problems when people swing their focus scale ring round expecting it to stop at the infinity position, and it doesn't. So that little task at least has been done, and that's our depth of field scale numbers there, of course, and probably our focus indication line right there. Well, I've got my speed trains, the self-timer and the retard gear train back from cleaning, and now I'm just running a bit of graphite powder through this so that I can check that it'll all run smoothly. Of course, it's not moving at all at the moment. Yeah, that's going well. That's good. That should go fine. And here is the retard gear train. And I'll just tip a bit of graphite powder onto those gears and holding the pallets back with one hand, and I'll work the arm with the other. And it'll just work graphite powder in between the teeth of the gears if they need it. And the speed trains can go in place. Well, I will start with the retard gear train. First I need to cock the shutter. Drop this into place. You've got to swing the arm in slightly to get this seated correctly. Where are we? We'll be right around here. That's better. Find the two screws. It's important not to mix up. The two screws that are easy to mix up are the ones, one for the self timer and one for the retard gear train. But I've been caught before, so I'm not getting caught today. Check that this is sitting correctly at this end. This screw is a bit mutilated looking. Somebody's done a bit of a job on that. Let's see if the speed train runs correctly. I didn't feel that drop into place properly. Those pallets aren't dropping in. Something not right there. Got the speed ring on, see how we get on. This would be the slower end of the scale. See how that goes. Oh, that's working correctly. That sounded good. So this retard gear train is good. Cock that shutter. Tighten those two screws up. Now, the self timer. These can be a bit more fun to get into place. Make sure that that tab is correctly positioned. That looks right. The two screws in position. This one. I'm watching the interaction of this lever here. That looks good. That screw wasn't done up tight, it is now. And I'll fit its spring in place. Of course our control levers aren't sitting in here at the moment. that spring in position. Hooks over there. Hooks over there. Let's cock the shutter. What is our settings supposed to be on? And there, that sounds right. Now the shutter started to open. It hasn't completed its travel, so something's not right here. Let's put my levers on the top and see how we get on. This is the cocking lever for it. There's a shoulder on that screw. It's got to be in the right way round or it won't go. This has to couple with that slotted hole there and be swung into position. See if I can get this done. That's it, just cheated a bit there. Now that fits into that little socket there. That spring's sitting up, that's causing me problems. Unhook that spring and put it round the right way. Should be tucked in underneath, like that. It's not sitting into position correctly. Let's try that again. That time. Sitting in there, yes. And this lever sits in there. And if I put the cover on, how does it go? Now cover goes on this way. It's midway through the speed range. Let's see if we can cock that shutter. looking to see if I had a tool for cocking that, but of course I don't. Let's cock it from here. That does not want to move. Oh, that's not sitting in the correct spot. That'll be why. Let's try that. It's cocked. The shutter fires, so the shutter's certainly working. Shutter's cocked. Set the self timer to run, and will it go? No. Do I set that the right way? I think so. Well, I could have been chasing that problem for a long time. Basically, my problem lies with the lever that holds everything together over here. Let's just cock that shutter. And the spring had moved onto the wrong side of the lever, so it was no longer holding the piece in place down here. And as a result, the shutter wasn't cocking correctly. This spring here should be on the other side of that lever. And I think that when manually cocking the shutter, I've taken it around so far that the spring's been able to escape. See if I can get that, unhook that. That's definitely my problem. That self timer running down. Alright, let's remove the self timer. That spring in the correct position. Then start again. It's interesting that the shutter would work quite well without the self timer, with this spring in the wrong position, but not otherwise. So what I want is that arm there. Can I get this across? That spring underneath. I'm pretty sure I know what happened. I think that that spring has just got on the wrong side of that stud. And that's nearly it. Is that it? That's it. Move that back, hook the detent back in place. Put the flash sink stuff back in. That'll do for today.